Okay, let's talk about growth hacking. Well, first of all, I think it's a bullshit word that's usually used by consultants who's trying to sell you something. But on the other hand, it's also a convenient word, if you will, to have a conversation about doing marketing and growth in a more scientific manner. Now, that said, growth hacking for early stage startups is mostly not the same as you would do for a average sized company or for a Fortune 500 global corporation. So what I'm here today is to talk about this exclusive setting, this exclusive context of growth hacking for early stage startups, because that's sort of my kind of thing. Actually, it's quite funny to be talking now in 2018 about what we now call growth hacking. I think I initially shared some thoughts about it in 2011. I think you can actually find the presentation on SlideShare still, so there's a mission for you. Go and find it. Now, what on earth is I'm going to talk about? Well, what I'm going to be talking about is probably not what you want to be hearing. Booyah, sucks to be you. Because this is not a bullet list of 10 easy ways to do some easy shit. Because those things are bullshit. Those things are really not gonna get you anywhere. So I'm here today to share the top 3 mistakes that I have seen early stage startups do over and over and over again when it comes to growth and when it comes to growing their startup. Now, growth hacking for early stage startups means not probably what you want to hear, as I already said. It means a whole bunch of insanely inconvenient work. It means getting the hands dirty. It means living up to your ears in dirt and hardship for months, if not years on end. So buyer beware. This is not easy. Now, who the hell is this guy talking? Well, hey, I'm Vidar Andersen. I'm a Norwegian by birth, but I've been living here in around Rhineland in Germany now for 13 years. I'm a startup founder that found startups to scratch my own itches from time to time, tech startups. And also I'm an educator because I've done a shitload of stupid mistakes. So I hope to help early stage founders and students to avoid doing my mistakes. That's why I teach at universities from, for instance, Cologne University till the largest Turkish university, until even been to Switzerland teaching, and also, of all places, teaching a Stanford entrepreneurship curriculum in Iran at the largest private university in Iran. So that's what I do as an educator. Also, of course, this. And for corporates, because I need to make money somehow, I have a company since 2013. We are helping large corporates do innovation in a more scientific way since 2013. So if you're a corporate, hook me up on that one. Now, that said, I want to talk a little bit about why I think growth hacking for early stage startups is mostly bullshit. What do I mean about that? Well, first of all, let's talk about a little bit about what a startup is versus what's a new company, right? So the academic definition, if you will, of what a startup is a temporary organizational form that's searching for a scalable and repeatable business model in an environment of extreme uncertainty. Temporary, because it sucks to be a startup for the rest of your life, right? We're making almost no money, if we're making any money at all. We have no idea what we're going to be doing today. We had no idea how we're going to do this in 2 weeks from now. We don't even know if you have a startup or money in 2 weeks from now. So everything is completely chaotic, and we're searching for a scalable and repeatable business model because maybe, hey, nobody's done this before. Now, on the other hand, a new company is a more or less permanent organizational form, and it's been optimized to execute a found, existing, validated business model. And it's operating with almost extreme certainty. Well, these days, less and less, but a much higher level of certainty. What we were doing last year is probably what we did last week, and probably what we're going to be doing the next 6 months. That is to say, the business model may even be known for hundreds of years. Think a bakery, think a service provider. The ins and outs are much, much more known than in a startup. So think about this in the context of growth hacking. Why growth hacking for a corporate or growth hacking for an agency will be completely different from growth hacking, let's say the new social network for puppies. Now, most of the time, I see that the people who are talking about growth hacking in an early stage startup context, they really haven't met or haven't gotten to the point of product market fit yet, which makes it completely irrelevant and stupid to be talking about growth hacking in the first place. But we'll get to what a product market fit is and why that's so important in just a little bit. Now, growth hacking, is only relevant after. So it's very important that we get to know what a product market fit is. Now, how do we achieve this product market fit? What does it mean to have product market fit? Well, usually you can think about a startup of having 4 phases. The 2 first phases are the search phase, which is the sort of phase where you are going to be finding out if you're solving a problem or need that is relevant and significant to people, and then you're going to figure out if you have a solution. So you can, if you have a solution that actually solves this problem or need for your customers or users. Now, so think about it like this. We call it customer discovery. It's a process, as I said, in 4 stages, but you don't have to worry about the 2 later. Those are the sort of you should be so lucky stages where you get to grow your business. Whereas now we're actually pre-product market fit, which means that we don't even know when we start out if we're solving a real problem or need. We absolutely have no clue if the solution we have in mind will actually solve the problem or need for the kind of people that we think that it will solve it for. So the first thing we need to figure out is this a real problem or need? If yes, if we can find out that it's a real problem or need, then, only then, if and only if we can find out it actually solves a problem or need, we move on to actually develop a solution for this problem or need. Now, actually, when you have this problem or need nailed down, and when you have this so-called product market fit nailed down, only then does it become important and relevant to be talking about growth hacking. Now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, we're going to be asking, can we solve a problem? How do we do this? Well, we get out of the building because inside of your office, there's only fantasies. The real facts lay outside there in the market, right? So the only way you're going to figure out if you're solving a real need or a real problem is to test that with real people. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, you may have a guess, or what they in academia call a hypothesis, which is just an expensive word for a guess. You have a guess about who could be the early adopters, the people who really could use your product. Now, you go out of the building, like I said, because you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to talk to real people. No surveying allowed whatsoever. You have to look them in the eye and see their emotional response when they talk about this problem or need. Because most of the time, you're going to probably figure out that they don't really care about it that much as you thought. So we get out of the office, we try to talk, let's say, to 40, 50 people that we believe they're in the demographic of our early adopters. Now, usually you will see that there starts to become a pattern in what you learn from these people. Sometimes you'll figure out, oh, they really didn't care about my need. They didn't really care about the problem. Okay, so what do? Well, we move on. We move on to the next guess, the next hypothesis about what could be the people, the demographics of the kind of people, the customer types, if you will, that could use our product. Now we talk to 40, 50 people of that type. And if we hear again, well, maybe they don't care about this either. Then we move on maybe to a third guess, and so on and so forth. But most of the time, the first idea or a problem or need that we start out with is bullshit. We will actually get told by the market, by talking to these people, to our potential customer, that our idea is meh. So what do we do then? Well, most of the time I see there's like 2 types of founders. The entrepreneur, if you will, and the artist. Now, the entrepreneur will listen to the customer, and when the customers repeatedly keep on telling them that the ideas suck, they will say, well, fuck it. I tried it. The market said it was not a good idea. They told me, on the other hand, that I should maybe go over here. So the entrepreneur is actually listening when they're talking to the market about what the market wants. And they follow that. Now the bad founders, or the artists, if you will, they are so hell-bent on force-feeding their idea, their vision baby, down the throats of a market that doesn't exist, and they will not listen to the market. They will not take advice from the market. They will not follow the real needs and problems that real customers have been telling them, and they will fail. So to sum up, the first phase that you should be worried about is figuring out up front if you're actually solving a problem or need that your potential customer base cares about. Why? You want to figure out that before you start building shit. You want to figure out today instead of 6 months down the line when you're out of money, out of luck, out of time, out of patience. You don't want to find out too late that you were building the wrong shit. So we're going to take some time to get out of the building and talk to some real people. You know what that means? That also means that some people are going to be telling you that your shit sucks. So get used to it. I told you this wasn't going to get any easier. Now, once we have established that, hey, indeed, we talked about 40, 50, 60 people, and you know what? 40, 50, 60% of those guys actually fed back to us that, yeah, they have this kind of problem. They actually have this kind of need. All right, cool. All right, let's go back to the office and build some... Wait a minute. We're not going to get back to the office just yet to start building some stuff, okay? First of all, we need to establish the fact that, all right, they need, or they have the need, or they accept the problem. They have the problem that we talked about, that we think they would be having. But hey, we need to establish, do they actually think that my idea of a product, my idea of a solution is actually what will help them? So instead of going back into the office, we're actually going back out to the people who said they had a problem or need, and we're talking to them again about how we think it could be solved. And to do that, we're not building anything else than maybe a PowerPoint, a sketch, a mock-up, a click dummy, or even if you're a little bit more advanced, a minimal viable product, and you see how they use it. You see if they accept that this is the way that their problem is being solved. Now, if and only if this is the way that they will actually accept that, yeah, hey, this is important, yeah, this is cool, this is what I need, then we can move on to try and sell this. Now, what usually happens here is that you'll find out that your first idea about the product, just as you found out probably with the idea about the problem or need, that your first idea about the solution is shit. It's crap. It's something that your potential customers, your early adopters, cannot possibly use or will not use because it maybe only solves 30% of what they need to get solved to be able to use or buy your product. So what do? Well, we don't go home crying. We actually stick it out and talk to our customers. We work with our customers to build the product together. Think of it as customer development. We're co-developing our product with the customer, until we have reached a point where the customer thinks, yeah, when can I give you my money? I want this now. Can I get it now? It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to solve the problem or need that they're looking to get solved. And it has to do it adequately, enough to the point of them being willing to throw money at you. Now, if and only if we can get to that point, we're now getting into the territory of reaching a product market fit. What reaching a product market fit actually means is that when we're trying to sell this solution, after we first validated the idea or problem, then we validated and developed, at least in theory, the product together with the customers, then we're now trying to sell it. And if we can scalably, repeatably sell this, let's say every time we put some marketing towards customer segment A with value proposition B, they, more often than random chance, buy my product. Hey, welcome to product market fit. Now, that sounds easy, doesn't it? Well, the only problem here is, and this is also a huge mistake that I see in founders of early stage startups, is that they underestimate how long this is going to take. And steady yourself. I hope you're sitting right now. To reach this point from having an idea to reaching product market fit can take 1 to 2 years if you're lucky. If you make it that far, 1 to 2 years to reach product market fit. So talking about growth hacking week 2 of founding your startup, only having an idea, is utter bullshit. I hope you see it. Now, only when we reach this point of product market fit, only when we can sort of semi-repeatably sell our product, it becomes relevant to be talking about growth hacking. Now, I think you can talk to at least most growth hackers that are experienced, that I trust and respect, will tell you that it is bullshit to try to apply growth hacking techniques most of the time before you have achieved product market fit. Even if you have a lot of money that you can give them, they will not be able to do anything significant for you, nothing sustainable for you, before you have reached product market fit on your own. Why? Well, also, growth hacking implies a lot of tweaking, a lot of optimization, a lot of knowns, or at least trying to figure out some knowns. And well, there's actually no knowns at this point in an early stage startups, or very, very few. And you don't have a product market fit. Well, which value proposition to which kind of customers? Well, I don't know. Complete full of unknowns. You're still searching, right? You're still searching, you're iterating, you're pivoting. This is not the time when we're talking about growth hacking. We're actually just trying to build a product that people loves, right? For the second of 3 mistakes that I got to be talking about today, it's the belief, or the insane belief, if you will, that an early stage startup can, just as a corporate, a large company, target the mainstream day one. That means that there's a complete sort of a fantasy illusion about who you can target when, right? We talked already about early adopters. Now, who are early adopters? Well, I'll tell you in a minute, but who are the mainstream? Well, the mainstream are the kind of people that maybe your mom and pop or your grandparents, people who are technology adverse, don't like to switch to new things. They don't trust you because you're a nobody, never heard about you. And well, you don't have the resources even to get into the channels that they are reachable in. You don't get into the papers they read. You don't get into the TV channels they watch. You don't have that kind of money. And most importantly, and this is what people get completely wrong, because the only people you can target in the very beginning are the early adopters, and I'll be telling you who they are and how you can identify them. But most importantly, the mainstream, they don't know that they have a problem. They do not know that they have a problem or need yet. So they're not ready to consume. And there's a whole sort of standardized way, if you will, which is quite known, about how technology disperses. I recommend you read the book Crossing the Chasm by Geoffrey Moore. I think it came out already in 1993. It talks about how technology follows a distribution curve from innovators, the crazy people who are just trying out new things all of the time. You probably know some of these, or maybe if you're a tech startup founder, you are one of these people. Then you know the early adopter kind of people. Those are the next on your dispersion curve, which are the small group of people who are looking to the innovators to see what they're up to. And because they're always doing interesting things and they have been right about things in the past, about new things, they look to them to get inspired and do new things, try out new things that they're already recommending. So the early adopters on the distribution curve are the people who are looking to the innovators, who are ready to consume whatever the innovators that they know and trust from before are actually trying and doing right now. Now, there's a big gap now after the sort of distribution curve getting to the early adopters, which we call the chasm. It's a huge gap from you reaching the early adopters to possibly maybe reaching the early majority, the early mainstream at some point. And this is the big bet. This is the big unknown. Will you have the time, tenacity, resources to close this gap? And you can think about this also about closing the product market fit gap. Closing this gap may never happen. It may happen in 1 to 2 years. You may run out of money, you may run out of patience, but what is true, what is always happening, is that distribution of new technology things happens in this curve. And you can just Google Crossing the Chasm, Geoffrey Moore, and you'll see the distribution curve. So be aware that there's going to be a point where you have to stick it out to cross the chasm. And before we get to this chasm, there's not really a point of talking about growth hacking. Now, I mentioned I would tell you how you define or find an early adopter. You know, an early adopter know they have the problem. I mean, obviously they have the problem, but they know they have the problem. They're conscientious about having this problem or need, and they have been searching for a solution to this problem today or in the past. Today or in the past. We're not asking anybody here to project anything into the future or read tarot cards or look in a crystal ball, because no human can do that. So your early adopters know they have the problem. They've been searching actively for a solution today or in the past, and they haven't come up with anything satisfactory so far. So how do we find these early adopters? Well, I mentioned already, you have to get out of the office, right? You have to have a hypothesis, you have to have an idea, a guess about who these kinds of people could be. Then you go online or into real life and try to figure out, how can I contact these people? Where are they? How can I reach them? And then you talk to them face to face. And you talk to them about the last time they tried to solve for this problem or need. And if they never tried to solve for this need, you know that they're not in your early adopters. And by the way, that means no fucking surveys ever, all right? You cannot talk to customers through surveys. Surveys are for solving accountancy problems, and you will never know what you could miss out on if you're not talking directly to the customers. And also, of course, you cannot measure empathy in a freaking survey. It's just impossible. So talk to customers, look them in the eye, look for empathic responses when they talk about the problem. Furthermore, what we talk about when we talk about talking to customers, there's a lot of talking. Furthermore, what we are looking for is, what are their pains? We're listening for what kind of pains do they have when solving for this today? Which kind of pains did they discover when trying to solve for this in the past? What pains are they having right now that needs solving? We're also trying to figure out what will make them happy. Which gains are they trying to create for themselves? Do they want to save time? Do they want to save a headache? Do they want to save time? Do they want to cure a headache? And also, which jobs are they trying to get done? That is to say, why would they actually use our product to do what they want to do? So if you want to get into the jobs to be done theory, I really recommend that you read the book Competing with Luck by Clayton M. Christensen, or if you're lazy like me, just go online and Google for the milkshake talk with Clayton M. Christensen, and you'll be an expert in what I mean about jobs to be done. The third and last mistake that I will leave you with today, that I see early stage founders do a lot, is that they think growth hacking is primarily or even only exclusively about paid marketing. Growth hacking is about a lot of things, and it's definitely about more than just paid marketing. Growth hacking is about much more than just paid marketing. Why? Well, relying on paid marketing, for one, is not a sustainable business model. Hey, big shocker. Now, you cannot build a sustainable growth engine with relying on paid acquisition of users or customers alone. Usually, I mean, everything is distributed on a Gaussian distribution, the bell curve. You'll find an excuse here and you find an exception there, but mostly it is impossible to build a business model that is sustainable and scalable and repeatable with only paid acquisition. So what does that mean? Well, a successful and sustainable business model or growth engine, if you will, have three components. Three, not just one, not just paid. Paid is number one. It's still super important. And it's super easy to think about. It's all the things that you pay for. So is it search engine marketing? Is it like ads? Is it Facebook ads, Google placements? Is it influencers that you're paying? Are you taking out ads in papers, like real, paper ads? Are you putting things into the box that is TV? All the things that you're paying for. Not paying salaries for yourself or anybody else, the things that you're paying, the channels that you're paying for. It's paid marketing, paid growth. The second level or second component, if you will, of a successful growth engine is stickiness, or the level of how engaging your product is. Is it so compelling that people cannot stop using it? Will they keep on using it? Will they keep on coming back? Do they feel happy when using it? Do they love your product to the point of using it maybe each day, or even if you're super lucky, several times a day? Now, the third component of a successful growth engine, and is easily the most misunderstood one, is viral, or more easily thought about as word of mouth effects or network effects. And what does that mean? Well, that does mean that your product is so compelling and solving a problem or need so compelling that people cannot stop sharing and telling their colleagues, family, friends about how great this product is, and you just need to try it. And that all the people that they invite and all the people that they get into your product will tell their colleagues and friends the same thing. So it's like a perpetual, almost free marketing engine of people recommending your product perpetually. Now, that's the word of mouth effect. So either it's so compelling because it's solving your problem or need so well, or it's so engaging, or it's just so remarkable and so crazy that people cannot stop talking about it and stop sharing about it. Now, the network effect is also sometimes misunderstood, because network effects can be actively built into your product, and there's a lot of things you can do to hack network effects. That said, there's also a lot of types of products that will never ever in a million years have a reasonable network effect. But what is a network effect? Let's talk about that first. Well, think about it as the first fax machine problem, right? Think about the first law firm in New York who got a fax machine. What do you think they did? They talked to all their clients, all their corporate clients, about getting a fax machine so their work would be easier. So that's one way of thinking about the network effect, because any new user has an inherent sort of incentive to invite new people, because they will get more value out of having more people in using your product. You can also think about it as being the first user on Facebook, right? What a sad and miserable experience that would be, just being the only person on Facebook. I know I got the invite, I think in 2004 or 5 or something, and there was no people there for me. So I had to add and find and invite all the people to actually get some value out of the network. So hey, there you have it. That's network effects. Now, a successful engine of growth combines paid, sticky, and viral/network effects. And you can think about it this way as well. If you're an early stage startup, you should be focusing on the two latter. That is to say, sticky, word of mouth/network effects. Why? Well, you probably don't have the resources or the money to actually keep paying for acquisition, right? And if you have, let's say you get 1 million and you buy 2 million users for 1 million from money from your investor, yay, cool for you. But guess what? They're not going to pay you additional millions to keep on buying customers, because they too are expecting that your engine of growth is working with stickiness, with viral or network effects, so that the 1 million or 2 million that you buy for money actually will keep on generating free growth, if you will, with the money you seed the first user into your product, the first customers or users that you buy, that when they come in, they will actually keep on inviting other people because you already have network effects or word of mouth built in. So paying for acquisition of users is 99.99999% of the time not a sustainable business model. So to sum it up, what you can do is, and you have zero excuses for this, is to build a compelling product that people loves. They cannot stop talking about how much they love your product, right? Then go raise money, pay for that acquisition, and then you already have the built-in word of mouth, you have the network effects, boom, you're going to be successful and you can apply all the worlds of growth hacking at your heart's content. So in closing, those were the 3 most common mistakes that I see very often in early stage startups. Number 1 was misunderstanding that you can do growth hacking before you reach product market fit. Number 2 is how you reach product market fit and how freaky long it's going to take you to reach product market fit. And number 3 is easily misunderstanding growth hacking as something that has only something to do with paid acquisition of users or customers. So as we've seen, what you should be worried about when we're talking about building a sustainable engine of growth as an early stage startup is building in a compelling stickiness into your product and network effects. If you're an early stage startup and you're looking for further torture, or you're a university representative or a student that's looking for someone fresh and rude to teach a more modern curricula when it comes to startup entrepreneurship, or you're a corporate that is looking to do innovation a little bit faster and a little bit more scientifically and more repeatably in your company, then hook me up on vidaranderson.com, and good luck to you. You're certainly going to need it.